evening, welcome to the Monday Fan Zone show. Yeah, my name's Phil. If you're watching this live, get your views in, get your comments in. We've got a lot to talk about. It's almost the end of the season, 2 games left, but we had a decent performance away at Forest yesterday. And perhaps most importantly, we might just have stopped them getting Champions League. We won't know that till the end of the season, but there's little chinks of light, and we can talk about that. What are some of the good bits that you're seeing at the moment? A better performance, a better result. If only, if. I know there's going to be lots of those. So get your views in, get your comments in, and we'll have a good chat. I'll share the link as well if you want to come on and have a chat with us. But join us for the next 30 minutes in tonight's Fan Zone show.
The Leicester City machine is on the march again.
Leicester Fan TV presents.
I don't know, the videos don't seem to be playing well tonight, but we'll just make a start, whatever. Thanks as ever for everybody who helps make Leicester Fan TV, including our pals at Pucker We've got a brand new competition starting tomorrow, and we'll be doing that. And while people are just joining us in, I'll mention this a couple of times. Very, very sadly, a Leicester City fan has passed away. That's Steve Wordsall, aged only 54, and it's obviously very sad news. He's died of pancreatic cancer, I believe, and his friends and family have got in touch with us and asked us if we could spread the word and get a 54th minute applause going in the Leicester v Ipswich game. And of course, so sad, but we're always keen to help if we can. So if you know any fans who are going to the match, if you're going to help spread that word, we put it out on socials as well. I'll mention it a couple of times tonight, but please do get that out there and help people show a little bit of appreciation for a fan who's no longer with us. Let's crack on with the show. Craig says, good evening, Phil, and all Leicester City fans. Stop the Forest getting Champions League. Maybe. That's not confirmed yet, Craig, but yeah, it's definitely put a chink in their Champions League thing, which is a good thing, although they did qualify for Europe, which still means they've had a pretty darn good season. I'm struggling, Craig, to find much to crow about against Forest fans at the moment. Good evening, Andy. Hope you're well, Tony. He said yesterday made up for a lot of the crap we've watched this season. Did it though, Tony? It was all right. We did listen. I think we've had far too much crap. Somebody will agree with you. Is Jamie Reid, who's going to come on very, very shortly, but he seems to think that it's papering over the cracks. For me, it's just not. It's been a wall full of cracks this year. Richie says, good evening. A very good point for Leicester City yesterday at Forest. Callum says, absolutely amazing Sunday in there. Mary, hope you're well. Callum says, yeah, great atmosphere. It was good. And to be fair, that was the best bit yesterday, was that at least the fans were not let down by the players on the pitch. They actually stuck at it, could have won it, but a little bit. That's all we asked for before the game, was from the fans, that they actually put a shift in and realised that it meant a lot to the fans for Leicester to be stood there after a really poor season. Wayne, hope you're well. What's your views on things at the moment? Andy, yeah, Stolicic. Jacob's done well. Again, come back in for the Southampton game. His last 3 games are win away at Southampton, win away at Spurs, win at home against Southampton, and draw away against Forest. Is he part of the reason? Again, I'm not jumping in on Rude being like stubborn, but hey, he changed a bit of a winning team that day after the Spurs, and it didn't work, and he wouldn't change it again. Isn't it incredible, says Tom, what happens when you bring on wide players who are actually mobile in there? Yeah, indeed. Terry, want to say a big thanks to Terry. He's helped out somebody with a ticket. So, Terry, you know what you've done. I appreciate that. Thank you for that. Callum says, be a great thing to do at the match. RIP, yeah, talking. And I am going to mention it a few times, because the only way we get 54th minute applause working is if we push it out there a lot. So I need your help from everybody. That's the Ipswich game, a 54th minute applause. Please get that spread out there, because it's one of those things. If you're at the game, if people don't really know what's going on, it just doesn't work. But we know that everybody will help us on that. Jane says, good to take 2 points away from Forest. To be fair, Jane, when they went 2-1 up, I did think that was it. I thought they were going to go on and maybe win 3 or 4-1, but we stuck at it and got it there, and probably could have pinched it, couldn't we? Perhaps Mongo was going to get that goal that we'd have all loved to have seen. Terence saying it was better than all right. They were holding on to us at the end. I agree, Terence, definitely. It was theirs. It was there for us to win, and that would have been good. Aggie says Thomas had a decent game. Yeah, get your views in on Luke Thomas. He's had a really, really good end to the season, hasn't he? So hopefully he's going to be a big part of us coming back up next season in the Championship. Bazza says here, hope you're well, Bazza. Who would you have as manager? Now, this is interesting, Buzz. I'm going to get really on very, very shortly. to have a chat about that. And of course, if anybody wants to click on the link, I'm going to just pop the link out there. Video link. I'm typing and sharing at the same time. Can't do two things at once. Bazza, listen, I think Rude should have gone weeks ago. I'm just starting to think, look, if he's here, just say he's here for next season, and people like me can shut up saying get rid of Rude, and I'll just go, all right, we'll back Rude. Because I've always said that if you've got a manager in place and they're the people in charge, you might as well back them until they're gone. Anne says, shame this effort wasn't put in. I totally agree. I totally agree with what you're saying there. Jamie says, great spirit yesterday, could have won the game at the end. It's just frustrating. I find it, Jamie, quite frustrating to see it from that yesterday, because you do think, where is this? If it's there yesterday, it could have been there a lot more this season. Harry says, Thomas has been great since he's come in. I tend to think with that. Richie says, get behind Rude. Do you know what, Richie? I will do, but I think they need to come out, or Rude needs to come out and say he is here. I'm going to let you into a little secret. Somebody's tipped me the wink, believe it or not. Sean Dyche is going to come in. I can't say, but you know, I wouldn't put my mortgage on it, but that's what somebody's telling me tonight. Kyle Kennel says, thought we played well, but where was, yeah, exactly, Kyle. Where was this fight before now? That is the frustration. I'm going to get Reedy in, and then Nick's clicked in. So I'm going to get Reedy in. I'll get Nick in a second. And if you want to come in, do let us know. Terry goes on to say, Thomas will be a big part next year, just needs to get a bit of body strength building up in there. Does Rude know his fate already, says Nick? Did we put a relegation clause in his contract that we could terminate with no compensation? Do the players know this too? Reedy, welcome to the show. You know my thoughts on Rude. We've had far too many defeats and he's been far too clueless. For me, he's gone. We have this debate, me and you, but I want to know if he's here for next season, come out and say it. And then let's get on with it.
I get the point of what people want to see, and the people want to see a bit of communication between the club and the fans. But as of now, Rude's still under contract, still got 2 years. If nothing's said, he'll still be in charge next season. And I know people
I agree
are going
with
to
that,
be.
but I think they should say something, Jamie.
They probably should, because of the situation we're in now and how many losses we've had him now, we're relegated and whatnot. But I don't know. Like, he's kind of in his press conferences the last few games when we've either done a bit better, or obviously against Wolves, he even said that we've changed our mentality now to looking forward in a way of building ready for the future in a way. And for me, that only looks like, as of now, he doesn't know what he's doing, and all he can do is do his job. All he can do is do his job going into the next year.
Really, when he's been asked about his job in the most recent press conferences, he's used words like, I need to make sure I'm aligned with the club and the board, which means he said he needs to have a meeting to get aligned. That's not him coming out and say, I agree. If I was Rude and I was here next season, I would just sit there in a press conference and say, well, I'm not sure why you're asking me the questions about next year. I've got a 2.5-year contract. I've still got 2 years next. We've been relegated. I'm gutted, but we're already working on the championship comeback next year. Why doesn't he just say that? Why is he saying, I need to get aligned? Forget that. You need to get on with the championship.
I think in one press conference, I remember him saying about his contract when somebody asked him after them so many losses in a row, and he did say that he's got 2 years left, so why wouldn't I be here unless otherwise? So I get what people are saying, and I agree that after.
But why doesn't Reedham? Why doesn't he just cut the press, ask him the question down and say,
"He doesn't know. He doesn't know." That's what I mean. The club haven't told him yet, which again is bad from the club. But until he knows, he can only continue with what he's been doing in preparing for each game. And then if he's still in charge by the end of the season, which he could be sacked at the end, the last game of the season, you never know. But if he's not, you just got to back him going into the championship, because again, I do agree. I do believe that most managers, including Rude, could bring us back up in the top 6 or even higher. I don't know, but
I mean, Mary says here he needs to go. If we stick with him, it's just going to get worse. I genuinely always like to think I back a manager, but I must admit I've been pretty clear over the past 12, 13 games of non-stop defeats that Rude for me is not good enough. Mary says he needs to go. If we stick with him, it's just going to get worse. Really, my question is if we stick with him, and if after 5, 6, 8 games next season we're like mid-table and not gone off to a flying start, the people are all already going to be shouting for Rude out. I will be. I'll be going, what the hell? He lost 17 out of 20 games last season. We're mid-table in a championship with an expensive squad. Get him out.
Yeah, I see the point. I do believe he should be gone by now already. Like, I'm not saying I'm backing Rude going into next season. I'm just saying that if he does stay, you just got to back him and hopefully he does well. Because again, like last time he came up in the championship, most people said if it wasn't Enzo, someone else probably would have brought us up anyway. So I have a belief in the fact that Rude, in his career right now, I think the championship probably will be good for him because he needs to bolster his CV back up again, in my opinion. No one's going to take him at the moment with the record he's got in the Premier League. He needs to rebuild his career by hopefully getting a team from the championship up or even going to another league, which he could probably do better in. But right now, no Premier League team's going to take him again. No, I don't know, no high level team's going to go for him unless he builds his CV back up. So for me, if he stays, back him and hopefully he does well.
Yeah, Stephen says it's not all Rude's fault. The board needs to be backed. Richie was saying the same here. Andy Spooner says, do the board actually owe the fans anything? Andy, not really, but do you know what? A bit of communication is going to stop. I think we've had probably 3, 4, 5 years of frustration, Andy, and I think, like I said to you, is if Rude could say it in a press conference, if he knows what's going on and he's got a contract, he could cut it dead and just
I think he would if he knew what he was doing.
But like you've said, really, he's got a contract, so he just goes, "Well, I'm in charge." What? But he doesn't say that. He says, "I need to have a discussion to get aligned."
Because his position and how bad he's done this season, he's probably on his mind thinking, "Will they get rid of me? I don't know." So he can't be sure to say, "I'm still in contracts and whatnot." He knows he's probably there's a debate about whether he goes or not, but again, he's still doing his job. He's still going into games. Well, the last couple of games doing better and the change of mentality in a way, but I don't know. I'm rolling with the times right now and just seeing how it goes because we haven't got a choice right now. So what is the difference?
Here's a question for you that we've had this debate. George says we need Winks in the championship, but if Ruud van Nistelrooy stays, he will never play. What happens with a Winks, Vestergaard, these players who are clearly, Ruud's called out Sumari the other week, and he came on yesterday, but there are definitely big money players who, I don't know, what do you do?
So haven't we said before for many other teams as well, in the fact of it's not player power, it's not a player in charge, it's the manager. If the manager doesn't want Winks there because of certain reasons, because what we've heard of, for me, I'd rather not be playing Winks and keeping Ruud as the manager. I'm not trying to back Ruud over Winks. I know Winks is going to be good enough in the championship quite easily. What I'm saying is, someone like Vardy probably had a big voice in the changing rooms more than probably Ruud. You need a team now where you have one voice, like Enzo was probably the year we came up. He had a bit of control in what we were doing, and there wasn't any players who kind of try to have their back on it in a way. You want a team who's got a controller in the team, and that will be the manager.
Yeah. MDA events. Matt says, don't forget Armageddon's on March 17th at the Mattioli Arena. I think it's all sold out, Matt. It was great to see a performance where the players cared and nice to mess Forest up after the embarrassment in October at the King Power. Andy says, what does Winks have to do to get a game? I think he's saying that. Well, he's not in the squad, Andy. Ruud just won't pick him. So that's what's happening to him. I'm going to add Nick in as well. Nick, thanks for joining us as well. A comment to both of you. I want to just have a little touch on the point at Forest yesterday. Nick, it was good to get a point, and it's even better to stuff Forest up a little bit. Maybe they're not going to get Champions League, but they have got Europe. They've had a much, much, much better season than us. I'm struggling to get too excited over it because it's been that bad a season. But can you put any good spin on yesterday? Take us forward.
Well, let's be fair. This season's been a washout, to say the least, hasn't it? Really, Wayne's had many highlights. Yesterday, Spurs away. I'd even argue the first game of the season against Spurs was a highlight with Vardy's celebration against them. The only thing I probably could take, and it's something people could wake up to the fact, is we don't have to play like Pep Guardiola to win football matches and get points on the board. If you look at Nottingham Forest, as much as it pains me to say them, they don't play that style of football. Look where they are. They're playing like we did when we won the Premier League.
I'm smiling, Nick, because I said this time last year with Jamie Reid. Said let's not go up and try and play Enzo ball. Let's go up and just scrap and fight for balls. And
you play to your strengths.
Play to your strengths. If you're good enough to do Enzo or Pep ball, do it. But we have nowhere near been good enough to do it. And we should have been scrappy and fighting. Reader, you were there yesterday. Great atmosphere, mate.
Brilliant. My voice is slowly coming back from yesterday. It was brilliant. I agree with you at 2-1. I probably couldn't see a way back, but by the end of it, there was only going to be one winner in a way. So I was happy to get the draw. Brilliant skill from Buonanotte. He kind of looked very surprising of how much he cared, considering he's a lone player who's going to go back to Brighton in 2 games' time. So for me, fair play to him. He showed his quality. And again, the fight was there in a way. We kept in it. Yes, we scored the early goal, but obviously we can completely switch it around and we were losing. But for me, it was just, the reason we won, we kind of got back into that game was because of the substitutions. I think AU was dreadful. I think Skip was absolutely woeful. Them 2 players coming off, and it just changed the game instantly, in my opinion.
I thought AU did all right myself, personally. I know you've got a bee in your bonnet about him, Reedy, but he's looked better down the middle than he has on the wing. You can't argue that. And let's be fair, he's scored more goals than Daka this season. So he's not as bad as what you're making him out.
It's not hard. It's not hard.
Well, no. But what I'm saying
Daka
is...
got one. Reedy.
Against West Ham. He's got 6.
Great goal, but 1 goal. I mean, Nick, I think Buonanotte, by the way, I don't know about you, but I read a lot into body language from Buonanotte. When he scored the goal, he obviously celebrated, and like Reedy says, he actually put in a lot of bother. But he turned around and was flashing his name out. For me, he was putting himself in the shop window, Nick, and he was saying, "Look, I'm available to be bought, not by Leicester. I don't think. I think he'd be too good for the Championship, but I thought he was putting himself in the shop window with that performance." Maybe to Brighton.
Either that or Brighton's. I'd say either that or to say Brighton play me next season. 100%.
Jack says, I thought Ayew played well, battled for everything. I thought Ayew did what Ayew did, which Nick, I agree with you. I see what he does. I have to agree with Reedy about Skip. I'm hoping Skip will be all right in the Championship, but I don't think he had a good game again.
If we can get shot of him, get shot of him. Why? Whoever signed off on that 25 million deal, they need shooting, because what's he brought us this season other than high wages? Not a lot.
Yeah, not a lot. Bazza says here, this passing around at the back all season is a very dangerous way to the game and wish we could lose it. Bazza, I 100% agree. Although, really, probably next year we'd be able to play that way, because the best teams in the league who've got the best players who can retain the ball, like we did last year in the Championship, it kind of makes sense. And if we kept a lot of this squad, Reedy, the high retention, being able to outpass teams in that league is one way that could happen.
Yeah, like, it's all preference. I prefer to see that style of play. Yes, it's not been great this season. Again,
that's an understatement, Reedy. That's an understatement.
It is.
It's not been great this season.
No.
It's been absolutely.
No, I get it. But from what we saw last season for me, I fell into love with how we were playing it, and I did want to see what Enzo had to offer in the Premier League with us, but obviously it wasn't meant to be. So again, it's all preference. I would still prefer to see it, even if we came back up next year and then we did it again in the Premier League. I'd still want to see it, even if it was absolutely dross.
You've got to learn your lessons, really.
I get it, but
you've got to learn your lessons. You can't come back up and play passing football.
It's rubbish.
There's certain managers.
Really, it's rubbish.
There's certain managers that you've got to look for now. Then that if you do bring Rude, if you do sack Rude and you bring someone in, you can't go for that Enzo style or the Rude in a way of like that. This new era of football, you've got to go to not old style like a Sean Dyche, but someone like a Nuno who can adapt and can play different ways and not always stick to one philosophy like a Sean Dyche probably would do.
I mean, Nick,
you've got to kind of have a bit of a hybrid either way.
I don't know if it scares you, Nick, and people watching this, but I've had somebody message me on WhatsApp today who says they've been told, somebody in the know, take it with a pinch of salt, somebody in the know says it will be Sean Dyche at the end of not the end of the season, but when Rude goes on June the 30th.
It wouldn't surprise me with our board. He's not my choice. I wouldn't want Sean Dyche, but let's be fair.
That's worse than Steve
Cooper wasn't my choice. Dyche won't play the youngsters. He's got a record of not playing youngsters. Look what he did at Everton. There's a statement of him out there when he was at Everton. People were asking him to play the youngsters that Everton had that were a bit like our guys, and he said, "Well, we haven't got those players." So if you think Dyche is going to come in and play the likes of Monga, Evans, Nelson,
he'll play
etc.,
he'll play AU and Reed on the wings.
And Dakota Reed. You won't see
he'll play both of them on the wings.
Jake Evans will be gone. We need a manager. Personally, my choice would be, who's a free, would be Gary O'Neill. Did well at Bournemouth.
Yeah,
and stuff.
And did well.
And I think
did all right at Wolves, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he'd be a steady, safe pair of hands. He'd get us up, and he'd probably give them a kick up the arse if we did get promoted to keep us in the division this time round.
Yeah, but Bertie says here, and this is what I agree with Bertie. He says if we leave it till June the 30th, we're behind in our preparations for the new season, which is 100% right, because the pre-season will kick off around July the 12th, 20th, around that week. And we've known for 5 weeks now, or 5 games, that we're relegated. So for me, that's why, and I'll come back to this, Nick, for me, the club should have come out and said, it is going to be Rude next year. So just get on with it, and we're preparing for next year. Or they should have come out and said, it's not going to be Rude. He's going to see us through to the end of the season, but it's going to finish, and we're going to start again.
Yeah, they won't.
But they're not.
They won't. Let's be fair. Everything the last few years has been a bodge. And you look how long it took for Cooper to be announced when Enzo left. That should have been literally 2 days at the very most after Enzo left, because we were in pre-season and stuff, and we needed somebody to take the reins and get things going. But it went on ages. There's no urgency in that boardroom. And the reason why we won't get the Rude notification is because of obviously the financial figures that ain't great, which is on the board. So they're going to have to wait for this period to finish before they can start the new period.
Yeah, Dan says here, Jamie, why are we going for people who failed at other places like Dyche and O'Neill? Get someone in who's doing well up and coming. I mean, Dan, I hear what you're saying,
it's all well and good. Who?
See, this is
realistic. There is going to come in here under the situation that we're under.
This is where I'll tell you now. This is where the likes of our scouts or whoever's looking for new managers needs to go out there and not always go for the ready place names. Like, I'll tell you now that someone like Brighton, they brought in a manager from the second German league who just got them promoted. He's doing quite well in the Premier League right now. It's not always about managers you know or you've heard of. Enzo wasn't one of them. I'm not trying to say it because it's Enzo. I'm just saying that there is managers out there. If you go and do your research and find out what their thoughts are and how their philosophies work and whatnot, you might find a rare breed of a manager out there somewhere that might be doing very well in another league, but no one's heard of.
I'm not being funny, really, but to be
fair,
it
is a gamble.
King Power's not got exactly the greatest record in manager recruitment.
No, of course
I can name you names off that have failed. Then Paulo Sousa, not Martinelli, and that was a Mandevich appointment, but Cooper, Brendan Rodgers to a point. Do you know what I mean? They've not got the greatest. The only one really you could say that they got right was Claudio and bringing back Pearson.
Nick, I'm going to pull you up on that, Nick. I don't think you can call Brendan Rodgers a failure overall.
No, I said to a point, Phil.
Yeah.
The first part of it, fantastic. That when they start backing him, and that's when, and they also put him on a stupid contract where it cost us 10 million quid to sack him.
Yeah, to get rid. It went pear-shaped at the end, but he got us fifth, eighth, and an FA Cup and a Community Shield. I think Brendan Rodgers is probably up there with one of the best credentials as a Leicester manager in the club's history. Much as I was shouting for him to go at the end of it.
But what I'm trying to say is, though, Phil, there's been more failures than there is success. That's what I'm trying to say.
It's very hard because if you go like Reedy says, go for a young manager up and coming.
Hey, I'm not saying to do that. I'm just saying that if you want the option to do it, that's where you go.
Rude is a young manager up and coming, isn't he? But he walked away from PSV. He's done 4 games in charge at Man United. And when the shit hits the fan at Leicester, he's got no skill set because he's never had to deal with it. So what do I do to get a team out of... And even Reedy, I would say last year, you could see Enzo's lack of experience. I can't blame him. But when teams sussed us out, we went, 10 games without a win. We nearly blew it because Enzo didn't have them. You've got to learn the skill. And that's what he was doing at Leicester. And I'll argue with you, Reedy, that Enzo's probably proving at Chelsea that he's still well off being the full manager skill set.
I'd say if he gets champion, he's done his work.
No, but I agree with Phil
with
to
£1 billion
a point.
squad.
Really,
yeah.
We need some experience behind Phil. And let's be fair.
I don't think any manager was doing that well at Chelsea in a way. Like their aim every year is top 4
to win the title.
And yes. With the team they've got, yes. But the last couple of years, they didn't get top 4 last year because they're in the Conference League now. He's doing better than what I thought he would do this year for Chelsea, in my opinion. So I'm not saying he's done amazing. He's not a manager who's won lots and whatnot. But for what he's done at Chelsea with the team he's got, with a lot of egos and whatnot, I think he's done quite a decent job.
Phil's put in here. Simon Grayson wants a job. That's a bit left field. I like Simon Grayson, and he's got He's got a lot of managerial experience. I've actually lost track of. Do you know where he is now, Nick?
India.
Is he out there? Is he?
Yeah, he won the title. He won the title in India.
Yeah, he's done a lot. I mean, Reedy, you love, but if you looked at his credentials, he's got a lot of managerial experience. He's probably a bit in the old school bracket now, Nick, I would say. Although, you know,
Reedy's got no clue. Simon Grayson is, Phil.
He's
way before his time.
I don't know who he is, but the fact he's at India now, it can't really mean he's that great.
Well, I think you'll have to remember Claudio Ranieri came from managing in Greece, and you know.
Well, yeah, but what was it, Olympiakos or wherever it was?
No, it wasn't Olympiakos, Reader. It was some random team in Greece.
Nigel Pearson came to us from Hull. You know, it's.
Hey, I'm not saying.
Came from
Really, Ruud van Nistelrooy came from doing 4 games in charge as a caretaker manager, and you're like, you know.
Again, it was a gamble. It didn't pay off.
I mean, Matt says Lee Carsley would do a job bringing young players through. He's obviously managed England for a period as well.
There's names out there that we could easily be linked with, and I'm not saying to go for the gamble, but if you do get rid of Ruud, which at the moment I can't see happening, and I don't think you should do it if it's until the June 30th. I think if you're doing it at that point, you might as well just give him a few games to see how it goes.
Yeah,
our board's got no imagination. That's the problem. We'll either end up sticking with Ruud, or Sean Dyche, or someone like Steven Gerrard. That's what we'll end up with. They've got no imagination.
If anything, it's a drop. If you're going from Ruud to someone like them two, I'm sorry, it might not be a backward step. It's probably not a backward step manager wise.
It's a drop from Ruud to go to who?
To either like one of them managers that Nick said. For me,
a Dyche or a Gerrard. That's what we'll end up with.
In a way, because
we've
seen what they've done, and I don't know. In my eyes, it's a backward step because it's just worse for football. Like, yes, it might win you the championship with the way they play.
Yes.
Yeah, but is that you saying worse of football because it's not tiki-taka, Reader?
Maybe so, but that's just my opinion.
So you're
I'm just saying,
because we're not
if I don't want to, I
peeing
don't
in
want to
about
see us
instead of
sitting
playing
back and
two up
scoring
top,
one
lomping it
goal a
up,
game.
hitting balls in the box, heading it in like, big man, little man. It's rubbish football. Because let's not
Really,
forget that's what won
how
us
many
the
games
Premier
have
League
we
title.
lost?
No,
we lost 17 out of 21 or something.
I'm not saying rude in at all. I'm just saying I don't want a darts ball where I'm not getting off my seat and getting one goal a game to win a game. I'd
Well,
rather
not
see
off the
exciting
seat,
football.
watching Ruud van Nistelrooy football, Reader.
You never know. Could be beating teams 3 or 4-0 next year.
It maybe, yeah, but anyway,
We beat
listen.
QPR 6-2.
Oh,
Yes,
Reedy.
which,
Oh, my
yeah,
God.
which is good
FA
signs.
Cup.
Listen, it was.
Jesus.
Lads, before you go, I just want
Get
to
your
put this
lottery
back on
numbers on if
screen.
that's what you're thinking. Jesus.
I just want to let everybody know that at this week's game, Leicester v Ipswich, there is going to be a 54th minute applause. The fans have to join and do it. So if you can help us spread the message, it's in memory of Steve Wordsall, who's a 54-year-old lifelong Leicester City fan, very, very sadly died very quickly of cancer. And we just want to get that out there. Obviously, the club really can't organise anything like that, we've been told. So it is from the fans. So we're asking all fans just to
I will
spread
say
the message.
it's better to spread this message like this than people talking about the board at the 14th minute. Spread something that's meaningful,
Yeah.
that means something, than going at the board every game for no reason. Not for no reason.
Yeah.
Obviously,
No,
reason.
listen, I agree. I hear what Rudy's saying. I think just in memory of a fan, and we've not done one of these for a little while, but I know that, listen, it's going to be a big game on Sunday, hopefully for the right reasons. Hopefully Jamie Vardy's going to get that 200th goal. We beat Ipswich. We go on into the Championship, but sometimes there is more important things than
I thought you were going to say Champions League then.
No, that could be Forest, Reedy.
Yeah,
anyway,
it won't be Forest still.
Nick, Reedy, thanks so much for joining us.
Cheers, bud.
I'll see you very, very soon.
There you go.
I'll let them both go. Reedy and Nick, thanks so much for joining us. Yeah, the 54th minute. If you can just do me a favour, make sure you spread that message out to as many fans as you can. That would be great. Don't forget, this week on Leicester Fan TV, of course, Fox's Focus on Thursday at 7:30, Tactics Talk on Friday at 1, and then obviously we've got the Aftermath show, which is a pre-match show on Sunday at 9:30 a.m. with Jamie from the Fox's Arms. Thanks so much for watching. Onwards and upwards. It still feels like we're just in that, I don't know, what should we do? Stick with Rude, get rid. Just communication from the club, please. Just somebody come out and say, maybe they can't. Maybe they're waiting for June the 30th. That's 6 weeks away. That just seems stupid. Just come out and talk to us. We're just fans. We're just normal. We just want to know what's going on. That's all. Anyway, thanks for everybody for getting your views, for getting your comments in. I'll see you next week on Monday, where hopefully we'll talk about Jamie Vardy's 200th goal and some memories of him. I'll see you soon.
The Leicester City machine is on the march again.
Leicester Fan TV presents a variety of content like fan discussions, match analysis, and engaging with Leicester fans worldwide. We want your views live, thanks to our sponsors, Everard's, Pucker Pies, Hologram, Take Me, Newbie & Co, and the Fox's Arms.
Want to watch more content like this? Hit the like button. Give us your views. Hit subscribe to Leicester Fan TV and make sure to follow Leicester Fan TV on all socials.